We were founded in 1998. We specialize in school food service software. That's all we do. We like to call ourselves the school nutrition experts. We're in 4 of the 6 largest school districts in the nation currently, and we were the first to bring the palm scanning technology to the school food service industry. In 2011, we won the Most Innovative Company Award at the Business Excellence Awards amongst 300 companies, ranging from as small as a donut shop to multi-million-dollar companies. So we're extremely proud of that. And that award was given to us because of the partnership that we created with Fujitsu and making this palm technology work in the school food service industry. So let's talk about some of the daily challenges. I know everybody here probably experiences. Time constraints and accuracy. You guys only have so much time to get your kids through the line. If you do get them through the line, they don't have a lot of time to eat. And the accuracy of making sure that you're identifying the correct student as well. We're talking about their student statuses. We're talking about lunch balances. So we wanted to make sure that we were properly identifying the right student. They were getting fed a meal. They weren't sharing their information with someone else. Some of the problems with other devices, such as pin pads. Well, pin numbers can be shared among kids. They can give their friends their pin numbers. Cashiers can mistype a number, sell a meal to the incorrect student. What about barcode scanners? Well, that was great. It sped up the lines a little bit. The speed was okay, but again, you're worrying about accuracy. You're worrying about, are they giving their card to someone else? Is that card going to get lost? Is it going to get stolen? So those things can be very expensive as well. You're talking about replacement cards. Then there was the latest thing, which was the finger scanners. We all know about those. Okay, what happened with the finger scanners? They were great, but parents feared that a lot. They feared that the technology was actually capturing an image of their child's fingerprint. The other problems with that were that in the smaller children, those mapping points were very hard to find, so it really didn't work for any of the kids from grades K through probably 4th grade. It was few and far between. The other issue with the finger scanner is that kids actually grow pretty rapidly, and those mapping points start to expand, and at that point you would end up having to re-enroll those children, re-enroll. So the solution is that we wanted to pair this technology with a point of sale, whether it be MCS Software or whoever your current provider is. So one of the things that helps us accomplish is a faster enrollment process. It takes less than 2 seconds to enroll a child in palm scanning. It only takes 2 good scans to enroll them as well. Once they're enrolled, you can actually serve them a meal right at that point in time. Most importantly, it reduces misidentification and the use of PIN numbers and cards. It eliminates all of that. Okay, let's talk about the history of palm scanning. How many of you think that palm scanning is a new technology? That's not the case. This is a proven technology. Everyone's fearful of change and new things coming out. And hey, is this going to work? It is a new technology to the school food service industry since we brought it. It's not a new technology to the rest of the world. This was developed in Japan about 8 years ago. The Japanese do not have the FDIC, which protects their funds like we do here in America. So one of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to make sure when their customers came to withdraw money from their ATMs that they were identifying the correct customer. So they went out and they started testing all kinds of different technologies, retinal scans, finger scanners, a lot of these new latest greatest things that are out there. And what they found was palm scanning was actually the most accurate of the technologies that was out there. So what they decided to do was implement that in about 30,000 ATMs in Japan now. So when they go to withdraw funds from their account, they're actually using a combination of their PIN number and a palm scan to withdraw money from their account. Think about that, 30,000 ATMs. It's also was later adopted in Brazil to do the same thing in their ATMs. Then, more recently, the healthcare industry here in the US brought the technology. They wanted to make sure that they were identifying the correct patient, that there weren't any kind of problems with insurance fraud or anything like that, so they decided to implement these in some of the hospitals here. It's now in about 200 hospitals here in the US. And then the education industry, more recently, started to use it for GMAT testing. So when a student is actually coming in to take their testing for GMAT for their master's programs, they're using this to identify it's the correct student taking the test. And now obviously the most recent addition is the school food service industry. And I'm going to start talking about that in a minute, and one of the pilots that we did when we first brought this technology. So why did Fujitsu decide to use the palm? Well, first off, there are a large number of veins in the palm. Makes it very easy to identify. So when they were looking at the technology, they wanted to get a big platform. So they decided to use the palm for that. Second thing is it uses what's called lively. So the next thing is that it uses what's called lively authentication. Blood needs to be flowing through the veins in order for identification to take place. Veins provide a wealth of differentiation. Veins are a lot like a fingerprint in that matter, that they're unique to everyone in the world, even identical twins. Everybody has their own unique vein pattern. Human interaction with the palm is easy and non-intrusive. It's less susceptible for low temperature. And the palm is always with you. You're not going to get your palm at home. Okay, so before I show you a little bit of how it works, because I know a lot of you are curious about that and what's actually taking place when identification happens, the best way I like to describe it is when you were a little kid and you used to take a flashlight, it was dark, and you were telling camp stories, and you used to hold that flashlight up to your hand. What happens if that light passes through your hand and you're able to see your vein pattern? Well, that's because of the blood flow through the veins, it makes them darker. It's almost like kind of like a murky lake. So that's essentially what happens when the palm scanner makes the identification. It's taking an infrared light, it's shining it through the palm, and then because the veins are darker, it's able to use those and create a mapping of it. What it does when that infrared light shines, it actually takes a scan of the palm, and then what it will do is it will create an image, and that image will then be turned into an encrypted number, and the image is then discarded. The image is actually of the vein pattern. It has nothing to do with the skin of your hand. Absolutely nothing. It's looking at the veins within your hand. That's what's really great about it. Once that's discarded, it never comes back. So when we're matching a student, once we do the enrollment, we're matching based on that encrypted number which resides in the database, and also which is then created when the child puts their palm on the unit. So that's how it actually takes place. And that's real important for you guys to understand, because when you're explaining this to a parent or even to your coworkers back at your districts, you want to make sure that you're explaining that there's no such thing as an image that's being taken. What it's doing is it's looking at that number and it's matching off of a number, just like it would a PIN number or a barcode. Okay? So I want to talk about the case study that we started with. Pinellas County School District in Florida. They were the pilots of palm scanning technology. We had a client come to us and let us know about the technology, and they said, you know, this would be real interesting if we could make this work as an identification method, because of all the problems that I spoke about before with the other external devices that we use. So Pinellas County, being the innovators that they are in the school food service industry, they wanted to bring this technology in. So you can see the size that we started with here. It was massive. I mean, they're one of the largest districts in the state of Florida. They have 82 elementary schools, 21 middle schools, 17 high schools, and they serve about 58,000 meals a day. In their high schools, which I'll talk about here on the next slide, the pilot site that we started with, Boca Ciega High School, they have a massive amount of students that they actually have to get through their lines in a short amount of time. So this is kind of the requirements as what we started with. This is what we had to work with. The lunch period was from 10:30 to 11 a.m., which typically before, using pin pads, it took them all of the entire lunch period to get those kids through the line. They were serving about 1,000 students a day, okay? And they basically, by the time the last student got through the serving line, they had to get back to class there. So they had 4 lanes, 4 cashier stations, and this is kind of a diagram of how that cafeteria was set up. And the serving time requirement that they gave to us was 20 minutes. We want to make sure that that last student has 10 minutes to eat before they need to get back to class. So here's the results. Serving time with Palm Secure, 15 minutes. Most of their kids got through the line in 15 minutes. That's a 50% reduction in time. That's how quick it was. And we knew right then it was a hit. And this is something that everyone can use in the school food service industry. Art Dunham is the director over there at Pinellas County Schools, and this is a direct quote from him. Our kids now go through the serving line in literally half the time. He's been a great advocate for bringing this technology to the school food service industry. So if you have any questions about it and how it works and how that pilot went off, Art, we can give you Art's information after we're done with the speech here. You guys can contact him and he can talk to you about it. And as well, he can show you some of the videos of the news coverage from the local news channels that actually came down to talk about the technology and how it was going to be used in Pinellas County Schools. So they're now using it in pretty much all of their schools, which is roughly about 120 to 130 schools. So it's been great success. So the next challenge Art presented to us was, he said, you know, this has been a great success in getting the kids through the line, but guys, you're doing reimbursable vending with us. I want you to put it into our vending machines. So we did. We put it into the vending machines there. Children actually use those vending machines to dispense reimbursable meals from the vending machine. We incorporated that palm scanning technology into the vending machine as well. Being the fact that you don't have a cashier, an actual person there to identify that student and make sure they're putting in the right number, which is some of the issues that you would have with just a keypad and a combination of a birth date and a PIN number. We wanted to make sure we were accurately identifying the student that came up to the vending machine and got a reimbursable meal from the vending machine as well. Let's just reiterate and talk about the advantages of palm scanning and what it brings. Fast and accurate, over 99.99999 success rate. Non-traceable, non-shareable authentication. It's easy and it's non-intrusive. It's applicable to all users, regardless of age, ethnicity, no matter what. It works with anyone. And it's affordable. It's right in that same cost range that you would be paying for a PIN pad or a barcode scanner, especially with barcode scanning and the fact that not only do you have to purchase the barcode scanner, you got to pay for those cards to be printed as well, and any lost or stolen cards or damaged cards that occur there. So it's very, very affordable. It's all within that same price range. And the top advantage is, since we all traveled here to Denver probably on a plane, it's a lot easier than this. Real quick, we're going to look at the unit. We talked about the fact that it's very unintrusive in that it's you know, you don't have to worry about the children damaging the system itself or touching the actual scanner. If you look at the bottom of this, that's the scanner. The top portion of it is just a guide. It's just a way to make sure that that person puts their hand on it correctly. And what it also does is it emits the infrared light in a certain way that it's able to block off the parts of the hand that actually covers the scanner there. So that's all it is a guide. It's really lightweight. The scanner is just this one little piece in the bottom of the guide here, and this would just sit directly on the table that you would have at your point of sale station. What Pinellas did was they took some real inexpensive Velcro tape and Velcroed it down so it doesn't move around or anything like that as they're coming through. The next thing that we did to help the smaller kids was we actually developed this little hand guide that shows them an easy way to put placement of their hand on the guide and how to do it correctly. So again, we developed this to make it a little easier for the smaller kids for the placement of their hand on there. We actually just fitted this over the top of the hand guide, and it shows them how to put their hand on there. The idea is that you want your middle finger to be all the way up to the front of the guide, and that's going to give you the biggest range of unique vein pattern on there. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. All right.